Get ready to decipher the enigma.
3 women gathered at a table in a popular cafe. Their appearances seemed to reveal their financial status. 2 of them looked wealthy, while 1 woman didn't seem to be as well off. Look at these ladies very attentively and write in the comments which of them is not actually rich. The answer might not be as obvious as it seems. The woman wearing pearls is not trying to show off her wealth. She's content with her simple, sustainable life. This suggests that she's truly rich. The second woman has extremely expensive accessories. She doesn't need a car, since she will be picked up by her driver and notified of their arrival through her Apple Watch. But the third woman is not actually rich. She doesn't have any valuable possessions, and that money falling out of her bag is actually fake. Look at these 2 couples lounging on the beach. There are designer bags by their side, and they're dressed in fancy swimsuits. At first glance, both couples appear to be well off, but only one of them possesses true richness. If you have already figured out which couple it is, share your ideas in the comments. The couple on the left have some fake items. If you look at them attentively, you'll notice that the logos are written incorrectly. They're also pale. Can it be because they have to work all the time and go on vacation just once a year? As for the couple on the right, their seemingly simpler yet well-maintained belongings suggest that they value quality over extravagance. And their worn luggage speaks of their many trips. Plus, they have tanned skin, which means that they can vacation much more often. A suspected criminal, Doug the Evil Man, had been bouncing around various places in the world. Interpol had been trailing him, expecting to catch him with large amounts of unaccountable cash. When they finally got their hands on the criminal, they only found sunglasses, a wallet containing about $50 American, credit cards, and some foreign loose change. They had nothing to do but let the guy go. In reality, though, Man managed to sneak a fortune right before the authorities' eyes. If you have any ideas about how he did it, share them in the comments. These foreign coins were actually extremely rare and incredibly expensive ancient coins. Detective Stanwyck came to Mr. Pennyroll's house to investigate a crime. Mr. Pennyroll claimed he had been kidnapped by bank robbers when he had arrived to open up the bank where he was the assistant manager. They made him open the safe and give them the money. They told the man to drive them to his house. They wanted to get his wife's jewelry too.
Oh my God!
While they were on the way, one of the criminals moved the money into a paper bag and threw the bank bag out of the window. When the car stopped at the red light 2 blocks later, the banker managed to escape. The detective decided to follow the route back to the bank to look for clues. At one point, Mr. Pennyroll shouted that he saw the empty bank bag, and a few minutes later, he pointed at the red light where he managed to escape. When they arrived at the bank, Detective Stanwyck arrested Mr. Pennyroll for a false report. Have you noticed a problem with the banker's story? Then tell us in the comments below. While heading back to the bank, they should not have reached the money bag before they reached the corner where Mr. Pennyroll jumped out of the car. He supposedly did that after the criminal had tossed the bag out. If this story was true, the detective and banker would have passed the corner first and the money bag next on the way back to the bank. Now, there's a truly mysterious case for you. Chelsea walked up to a parked taxi. handed the taxi driver a $20 note, and walked away. Here are the things you need to know. She's not very good with directions. $20 is too big of a tip for giving directions. The girl also has a car of her own, and it's not broken. Can you solve this mystery faster than the other Brightsiders? Leave your answer in the comments. Chelsea was lost and paid the taxi driver to take her to her destination. She followed him in her own car. Look at this picture very attentively. Can you spot a thief and explain your choice in the comments below the video? It's the woman in the brown coat with white lapels. She stands out among the crowd, as everyone else is either wearing sleeveless or short-sleeved outfits. Stephen called the police to report that his valuables were missing. When the police arrived, the man told them he had gone on a camping trip alone. He just got there and set up his tent when it started raining heavily. He hurried to get some dry firewood and left his bag with his wallet and all the documents inside the tent. When he came back, everything was gone. The police officers didn't believe Stephen and fined him for making a false call. Have you figured out how they understood that the man was lying? Tell us in the comments. Stephen said he had set up the tent before it started to rain. But then, why is there a big puddle inside? Tom vanished at around 10 p.m. on Friday in the fall. A police officer questioned his 4 friends. She suspected that one of them had something to do with the guy's disappearance. She asked each of them what they had been doing at that time. Adam said he had been choosing an outfit for a date. Daniel was getting ready for a party that was going to take place at his apartment. Sophia said she had been relaxing by doing yoga before her night shift at work. And Jake was watching birds in the park. After questioning the suspects, the police officer arrested one of Tom's friends. If you know who she detained, write it in the comments. It was Jake. At 10 p.m. in the fall, it's too dark to see birds outside. Police officer James was called into a small hotel to investigate a mysterious jewelry disappearance. Emily had checked in the night before and put all her expensive diamonds in her hotel room safe. After she came back from lunch the next day, the jewelry was gone. James had 3 suspects. The receptionist said she had been out on her lunch break. The maid said another guest had checked out earlier that day, and she had been cleaning their room. Susan, another hotel guest, said that she had just woken up. One of these people is lying. If you figure out who it is, write your guess in the comments as fast as possible. It's Susan. She said she had just woken up, but look at her bed. The maid had already made it. Joan came home one evening and discovered that someone had robbed her house. When the police arrived, they went to question the neighbors. Victoria said that she had been visiting her friend who lived 2 blocks away. She came home a couple of minutes ago. Peter said that he had been ill. He only made a short trip to the pharmacy and stayed in bed after that. Nathan said that he and his wife had been preparing for a barbecue party with their friends. But it started raining heavily, and they had to cancel their plans. Help the police and write the name of the thief in the comments below. It was Victoria. It was raining, and she said she had just come home. But look! Her hair, clothes, and the umbrella, which is standing near the door, are absolutely dry. Tyler was going to his friend's place in the evening when a stranger in a black mask captured him. The next thing the guy knew, he was in a large room, locked in a cage. There were 3 levers in the wall next to the cage. If he pulled the first lever, he would let hungry lions into the cage. The second lever would flood the cage with water. And the third lever would activate a special mechanism that would make the top of the cage move down towards the bottom, crushing everyone and everything inside. Which lever should Tyler pull to survive? Share your choice in the comments. His only choice is the second lever. All the water will flow out through the bars of the cage. Jack is in a cold cell. There's only ground under his feet. In the cell, there is one window, but it's impossible to escape through it. It's located too high above the floor. There are no stairs and no chairs, just a shovel. The man needs to get out of the cell as quickly as possible. He can't dig a tunnel and go deep underground, since the walls are really thick. Jack would get exhausted long before finishing digging his way to freedom. Can you guess the easiest way out of the cell? He needs to dig a large hole in the ground and use the dirt to make a small hill. He can then climb it and reach the window. Ava has been wandering through the desert for days. She's tired, thirsty, and hungry. Finally, she arrives at an oasis. But to get to it, she needs to choose one of 3 paths. At the entrance of the first path, there's a huge dragon with 2 heads. In the middle of the second path, there are hungry tigers. And the third path is swarming with thousands of scorpions. Which path should she choose? The first path. Dragons aren't real, so she'll be safe there. Jenny walks into a cafe and orders a cappuccino.
Hello.
The cashier tells her it's her lucky day. She'll give Jenny her cappuccino for free if she manages to answer a riddle correctly.
Yes!
The cashier says, there are 2 buckets filled with water all the way to the top. The buckets are of the same height, but the temperature of the water inside the first bucket is 25 degrees Celsius, while in the second bucket it's 25 degrees Fahrenheit. If a person drops a coin in each bucket at the same time, which coin will hit the bottom of the bucket first? It takes Jenny a few minutes to answer the riddle, but she gets it right. Can you guess what she answered? She said that first, one of the coins would hit the bottom of the first bucket. It has to do with the state of the water in each bucket. At 25 degrees Celsius, water is liquid, while at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns into ice. Emily finally went to Paris. On her first day, she bought a baguette and some cheese and went to the park to have a picnic. She sat down and cut the baguette into 4 pieces. A random person next to her said, "Hey, it took you 12 seconds to do that." Can you figure out how long it would take Emily to cut the baguette into 8 pieces? It would take 28 seconds. Here's how it works. To cut a baguette into 4 pieces, she needs to make 3 cuts. If it takes her 12 seconds to make 3 cuts, it means that she makes 1 cut in 4 seconds. Now, if she wants to cut the baguette into 8 pieces, she'll need to make 7 cuts. So, 7 cuts, 4 seconds each, 28 seconds. Every Sunday, Mrs. Moore gives her 4 daughters some pocket money. Half of the entire amount goes to the eldest daughter, Brianna. The second sister, Amy, gets half of the amount Brianna gets. Kate gets 1/6 of the total amount, and the remaining $10 goes to the youngest daughter, Nikki. How much money does Mrs. Moore give to her daughters? Once again, Brianna gets half of the money. Amy gets half of the half, which means 1/4 of the original sum, and Kate gets 1/6. They are all some fraction of 12, so Brianna gets 6/12, Amy gets 3/12, and Kate gets 3/12. Together, this adds up to 11/12, which means that Nikki gets 1/12, which equals $10. The whole sum is 12/12, which is $120. Brianna gets $60, Amy receives $30, Kate is given $20. Hey, if I were Nikki, I would complain. Miss Taylor is the owner of a boutique that produces and sells expensive ceramics. On a Friday, when the working week was almost finished, she went to put the day's earnings in the safe and was shocked to find out that the money was gone. Someone had stolen it. Miss Taylor suspected it was one of her workers. She asked each of them what they'd been doing that day. Sloan, the sales manager, said she'd been looking for new clients. Jake, the potter, said he always made 1 cup a day, and he showed all the cups he had finished that week. Lily, the designer, said she'd been working, but she also admitted she hadn't really been productive that day because of some family issues. Who lied? Jake. There are 5 working days in a regular week. The man said he made 1 mug a day, but he only showed 4 mugs. It means he missed 1 day of work. Probably the day he needed to steal Miss Taylor's money. 2 cars, blue and red, started traveling on the same highway at the same time. The blue car is going at a speed of 60 miles per hour, and the red car is going 40 miles per hour. However, after some time on the road, they come across each other at one point. How is this possible? Well, they're traveling in opposite directions, so eventually they would pass each other anyway. Carl was a rich man who had 2 grown-up sons, Ethan and Christian. They lived in a big mansion. One day, Carl noticed that his expensive ancient vase was missing. The only people who were at home the night before were his sons. He didn't want to involve the police, so he decided to interrogate the guys himself. He saw Ethan driving through the gates. He was back from his daily visit to the gym. The young man said that the night before, he'd been practicing guitar and hadn't noticed anything strange. Then, Carl met Christian near the pool. The guy told his father, "Now I understand. Yesterday, I saw Ethan putting a box in the back seat of his car. It must have been the vase." But Carl immediately realized it was Christian who had taken the vase. How did he know? Because Ethan drives a sports car. It only has 2 seats. He couldn't have put the box in the back seat. It means Christian is lying. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw just 1 line and turn 9 into 6. His only condition was that the students couldn't take their pens off the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first one to complete the task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of I, X, and got 6. There's a patch of magic grass in a field, and it doubles in size every day. If on day 1 it's just a patch of grass, on day 2 it's twice bigger, and so on. It'll take 10 days for the grass to cover the entire field. How long will it take the grass to cover half of the field? The patch of grass doubles in size every day, so on the 9th day, half of the field will be covered with it. In a kingdom far, far away, an old king lived. The king was worried he had no heirs to his throne. One day, he came up with an idea. He decided to give each child in his kingdom a seed. He promised to make the child who grew the most beautiful plant his heir. 3 months later, thousands of children came to the palace. All of them had amazingly tall green plants in their hands, but one girl had a pot that was empty. However, she was the one the king chose to be the future queen. What made him do so? It turned out that the king had given the children fake seeds. The girl turned out to be the only honest kid. Rachel called the police early in the morning. When they arrived, she told the officers her story.
I work in a museum. Yesterday, I took home several ancient books. I wanted to do some research, but then a blackout happened. I lit a couple of candles and continued my work. Suddenly, I heard the doorbell ring. When I opened the door, someone in a black mask hit me on the head. When I recovered, the books were gone.
Detective Anderson arrested the woman for misreporting. Why? If there had been a blackout, the doorbell wouldn't have been working. After a bank had been robbed, the police found a bag with money in the park. It was lying among cacti. The police officers arrested 3 suspects. It didn't take long to figure out who the bank robber was. Do you know who it is? It's the man on the left. He's the only one with some scratches. They must have been left by the cacti. Detective Brown stopped a man leaving a clothing store.
The sales assistant claims you've stolen some expensive gloves.
"These are my gloves! I've had them for ages!" the man exclaimed. But the detective immediately understood the man was lying. How? The man wouldn't be able to use these gloves. They're both for the same hand. A family with 2 teenagers went on vacation to the seaside. They lived in a small bungalow, almost right on the beach. Everything was great at first, but 2 days after their arrival, their younger son went missing. The police had 4 suspects. They invited the guy's family to look at them. Maybe they could recognize someone. The teenager's mother didn't need more than a glance before she knew who was behind her son's disappearance. Who was it? It's the man wearing the missing guy's baseball cap. Michael was going home from the gym when everything went black. When the guy came around, he found out that he was in a locked room. Next to the door, there was a computer with a keyboard. On the screen, there was a riddle. Michael had to type the correct answer, and the door would open. The riddle went like this. It makes 2 people out of 1. What is it? Michael typed the correct word, and the door opened. He was free to go. What was the answer? It's a mirror. Police detective Thomas Davis was walking along the street on a winter evening. Suddenly, he saw a person in a black mask sneaking out of a house through the window. They were carrying 2 large bags. The detective realized it was a burglar. He ran after the stranger, but they turned the corner and disappeared. Thomas understood that the criminal had hidden in one of these houses. But which one? It can't be the house on the left. There are too many people inside. There are no footprints in the snow leading to the house on the right. It means no one has been there for quite some time, which leaves us with the house in the middle. Oliver was attacked in his apartment and taken to a hospital. The police had 4 suspects, all of them Oliver's neighbors. Amelia said she'd been walking in the park since early morning. Henry explained he'd been painting in his studio and had heard nothing. Jacob said he'd been repairing his car. Sophia answered she'd been taking a bath for the past 3 hours. Look at these people's hands and try to figure out who is lying. It's a bit strange that Jacob, who'd been repairing his car, and Henry, who'd been painting, both have such clean hands. But they could have been wearing gloves. At the same time, Sophia's hands and fingers aren't wrinkled. But it would be a natural skin reaction after 3 hours in a bathtub. How many bricks does it take to complete a building? Just one. It will be the last one. A man wanted to buy a used car. He found a nice one which cost $9,000. He bought it and didn't pay a dime for it. How come? When paying $9,000, you don't need to spend dimes. Now let's check your math skills. How can you write 45 using only the number 4? (44 plus 44 44ths). Nathan sneaked out of the house late in the evening to meet his girlfriend. The teenager thought he was extremely careful and quiet, but his whole family knew about his plan. They were aware that the guy would return at midnight. They decided to make a bet. The one who would see Nathan first when the guy started climbing the fence would be the winner. No chores for them for 1 week. Not to fall asleep, Nathan's dad switched on the TV. The teen's grandfather settled in the living room and started to read a book. The grandmother went to the kitchen to make pizza, and Nathan's mom went to her room, sat down on the floor, and started meditating. Who's going to be the first to spot Nathan when the time comes? Nathan's mom. Her eyes will be used to the darkness, and she will see better than the others. The CEO of a large company called the police. He was sure that one of his employees, Victoria, had stolen a memory card with secret information. She was going to sell it to the competitors. The police arrived at Victoria's house, but the woman didn't let them in without a warrant. The officers had to leave to get all the necessary papers. When they came back, Victoria was already sitting in her car, ready to drive off. The police officers arrested the woman. They searched her car and clothes, but found nothing. And then, when they were about to give up, one of the detectives realized where Victoria kept the memory card. Can you figure it out? When the police first came to her, the woman had her hair down, but after that, Victoria changed her hairstyle. The memory card is in her bun. Martin was driving past a bus stop when he saw 3 people standing there. One of them was Monica, a woman he had a crush on. Martin also spotted Sam, his friend, and an elderly lady who looked like she was freezing. Unfortunately, Martin had a 2-seater car. What should he do? He should let Sam borrow his car and stay at the bus stop with the girl he likes. This way, Sam will be able to give a lift to the elderly woman, and Martin will have more time to get to know Monica better. During a fire, a bank was robbed. The security guard told the police he wanted to save a bag with money, but he had to lace up his boot right in front of the emergency kit. At that moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he recovered, the money was missing. Why was the security guard arrested? All emergency doors open outward. Detective Adams came to the park to have lunch in the sun, but his attention was drawn by 3 men running around a fountain. Each of them was shouting, "Thief! Catch the thief!" The detective was confused. Who was the real thief? That's why he just kept watching. After some time, the distance between the men shortened. Detective Adams immediately realized who the real thief was. Can you figure it out too? If the third man was the thief, the second one would only have to turn around to catch him. The same goes for the second man, which means the man running in first is the criminal. Someone robbed a bank in a large city. A police detective went to visit the main suspect.
I've been feeling unwell all this week, and I haven't left my apartment for 3 days. I didn't even need food. My fridge is full.
You can make sure yourself," the suspect said, and indeed opened his fridge. But the detective realized the man was lying and arrested him. How did he figure it out? First of all, the bread on the table looks fresh. Plus, if the man had been staying inside for 3 days already, his fridge wouldn't be that full. Kitty runs a dance show. She arrives in Finland with the 3 best dancers to perform during the Christmas holidays. On the first day of their trip, Kitty was found unconscious in the hotel room. Doctors claim that someone had poisoned her. The police interrogate all the dancers. Kira says, "My colleagues and I left the hotel early in the morning to explore the city, and Kitty stayed in the room for a conference call. I had a date with my online boyfriend, Mikkel." Pam says, "I went to the beach to sunbathe and swim. When I returned, I saw Kitty on the floor." And April says, "I went to the museum alone. Nobody wanted to join me." Who's lying? Pam. It's Christmas Eve, so it's too cold in Finland. She couldn't swim in the sea.
Oh no!
The police arrested Pam, and now Kira and April urgently need to find a new dancer for their show. They look through some profiles online and select these 3 ladies, Deborah, Sally, and Lily. But only one of them isn't fake. Can you guess who? Deborah's profile looks good, but take a closer look at the shadow in her picture. Her head is photoshopped to a different person's body, therefore, she's fake. And according to the 3rd lady's birth date, she hasn't been born yet, so they should choose Sally. April, Kira, and Sally are performing in a music hall, but first, they go to the dressing room to prepare. Suddenly, the local security guard comes in and announces, "Stay where you are! We have to recheck all the luggage. There's a runaway criminal among the actors." Here's the luggage left by 4 guys who are playing Santas. Can you spot the criminal? Santa never shaves, so the second luggage looks pretty suspicious because it has shaving cream. The remaining 3 Santas open the performance. They look absolutely identical in their costumes. After the show, they go backstage and take off their beards and hats to drink some coffee. This is Carl, Peter, and George. After the break, they put on the costumes again and go to the after party. Can you decide which one of them is Carl? Carl was mixing sugar in his coffee with his left hand. It means that he's left-handed. And this Santa signs an autograph with his left hand. Therefore, he's Carl. After work, Kira and April go to the local parade. Can you help them find a sheep among all these Santas? There it is. What about these reindeers? Can you see any bears among them? Hello? Kira and April enter a shopping mall and face 4 Santas buying gifts for their families. Meanwhile, the mall security guard receives a call from the police. A mysterious thief in a Santa suit has robbed multiple gift shops. They figured out that this mall should be next. The guard asked everybody to stay where they are. Can you help him find the criminal? It's the 3rd Santa. He's hiding a couple of crowbars in his bag. Also, his beard and mustache are different from the other Santas. Kira and April decide to throw a party in the hotel room. April decorates the room and sets up the Christmas tree. Meanwhile, Kira cooks dinner and prepares gifts for 3 people, Thomas, Sally, and Mikkel. The guests arrive and the party begins.
At some point, they notice that someone has stolen all the gifts. Kira believes it must be one of the guests, so she questions everyone. Every guest makes 2 statements, one truth and one lie. Thomas says, "I wasn't in the room when it happened. I know Mikkel stole the gifts." Sally says, "Mikkel stole them. I saw it. I already have enough presents." And finally, Mikkel says, "I didn't steal the gifts." Thomas tells the truth. He wasn't in the room. Who stole the Christmas gifts? If Thomas is the thief, both of his statements would have been false, and if Mikkel is the thief, then all of Thomas's statements would have been true. Therefore, Sally stole the gifts. Frank is staying in a hotel room next to Kira. The day before Christmas Eve, she knocks on his door to borrow some toothpaste. The door is open, and Frank is lying unconscious on the floor. Later that day, doctors figured out that he was poisoned. Kira questions 3 people. All of them are Frank's roommates. Jeff says, "Today I've had dinner with my girlfriend. I only saw Frank in the morning, and he was feeling great." Thomas says, "We had breakfast with Frank in his room this morning. He was in a great mood." And Ellie says, "I've just returned. I had to buy gifts for my family, so I've been shopping all day." Who poisoned Frank? The screensaver is out of date. Frank left a hint with his enemy's name. It was Thomas. Kira, April, Mikkel, and Frank rent a cozy country house to celebrate Christmas. April bakes gingerbread men cookies and leaves them to cool down on the kitchen table. She hasn't applied the frosting yet. So, she asks the others to stay away from the cookies. April goes upstairs to change. In 10 minutes, she returns and sees that someone took a bit off every cookie. April gets furious. She asks the others, "What were you doing within the last 10 minutes?" Mikkel replies, "I was building a snowman outside. I have no idea what was going on in the house." Frank says, "I was decorating the Christmas tree with these balls." And Kira replies, "I was watching my favorite movie in the bedroom. It was so loud that I didn't hear anything." April already knows who's lying. What about you? Frank is lying. There's no balls on the tree. Santa comes home earlier and finds his elf Bobby on the sofa. He's bewitched by an eternal sleep spell. Santa asks the other elf, Chuck, a question.
What happened here? Only you 2 were at home.
Chuck replies,
"We were packing the gifts and decided to have a lunch break. Suddenly, I heard a loud sound outdoors and ran out to see what was up. I spent about 20 minutes there, and then I returned back home. Bobby was already unconscious."
Santa calls Chuck a liar. Why? Chuck said he spent 20 minutes outdoors, but the coffee cups are still hot. He bewitched Bobby and staged the scene. Kira comes home to her family's house. She's looking forward to eating the walnut cookies she bought at the airport, but she has to eat them outside because her mother is allergic to all types of nuts. After a while, Kira looks inside her bag and sees that all the cookies are gone. Kira suspects her brothers, so she asks, "Who ate my cookies?" Dylan replies, "I was making apple pie with Mom." Paul says,
I was decorating the living room.
Kevin says,
"I was making a sandwich with peanut butter for Mom."
and Ralph says, "I was just watching the TV and eating my popcorn." Now Kira knows who took her cookies. What about you? Kevin is lying. They have the same mother, and as we mentioned earlier, she's allergic to all nuts. During the family dinner, Dylan receives an email and begins to cry. Kira asks, "What's wrong?" Dylan replies, "I'm a beginner photographer, and I've sent my best picture to the photo contest. I was expecting to win the first prize, but they disqualified me." Can you figure out why just by looking at this picture? The stars are over the moon. It's impossible. Kira is looking for her mother all over the house, but someone used black magic to turn her into a statue. There's a note nearby. It only has a question mark written with green pencil. Kira decides to question the Green family next door. Zelda says, "I was painting in the attic as usual." Oliver says, "I was cooking soup for my family." Mark says, "I was looking for my missing cat downtown." And Wanda says, "I was playing video games in the basement and heard nothing." Who cursed Kira's mom? The clue literally says, question mark green.
Rose, Lily, and Jasmine enter a flower shop on Mother's Day to buy some flowers for their moms. One of them buys lilies, the second one, roses, and the third one, jasmines. "It's funny," said the lady with roses. "We bought roses, jasmines, and lilies, but none of us bought the flowers matching her name." Lily replies, "Whoa, you're right." Can you guess which kind of flowers each of the girls bought? We know that the lady who bought the roses isn't Rose, and she's not Lily either, because Lily replied to her words. So Jasmine bought roses, Rose bought lilies, and Lily bought jasmines. Bob also bought some flowers for his wife. All of the flowers he has are orchids, except two. All of the flowers he has are hibiscuses, except two. And all of the flowers he has are roses, except two. Can you guess how many flowers Bob has? Bob purchased only 2 flowers, neither of which are orchids, hibiscuses, or roses. At the end of his shift, the barista checks a tip jar. There are 5 coins inside the jar. 5 people take these 5 coins home. However, 1 coin is still left in the jar. How can this be possible? Simple. The last person took the jar along with the coin. Therefore, 1 coin still remains in the jar. 3 best friends participate in a bicycle race, but one of them is cheating. Can you guess who? The person in the middle. She rides an electric bike. 4 people wake up on a deserted island. In a while, they get really hungry and go for a walk to find some food. Amy finds a bush with berries. Peter finds a closed can of beans. Fred finds this beautiful apple tree. And Nina discovers a hive full of honey. Only one of these options is safe. Can you decide which one? A creepy cobra is hiding in the bush. The beans expired 10 years ago. It's not safe to take honey from the hive without a protective suit. So, apples are the safest option. It has 13 hearts, yet it's never alive. What is it? A pack of cards. I have 3 eyes and all are in a straight line. When my red eye opens, everything freezes. What am I? I'm a stoplight. I'm made of wood, but you can't saw me down. What am I? I'm sawdust. Wendy is trapped in a creepy castle. It has only 2 possible exits. The first door leads to a room constructed from magnifying glass. The blazing hot sun instantly fries anyone who enters. And there's a fire-breathing dragon waiting behind the second door. Can you help Wendy escape? She should wait until nighttime and go through the first door. Can you write the number 45 only using the number 4? Here's the correct way. Tim lives in an apartment building. He comes home in the evening and finds out that his car is wrecked. He also sees 3 neighbors standing nearby. Tim wants to find out who's guilty, so he questions them. Henry replies, "I was just skating around the block. I didn't touch your car." Will says, "I was playing basketball with my friends." And Shelley replies, "I've spent all day working in the coffee shop on the first floor of our building." Can you spot the liar? Shelley. She said that she'd been visiting the coffee shop, but it's closed for good. Bella wants to rob an old lady's house. She approaches the door and sees that the door is opened. Bella freaks out and runs away. Can you see what's wrong here? There's no hole for a key. There's a 5-letter word that has 3 consonants, and they are all the same. Also, the word has 2 different vowels. There's something wrong associated with this word. Can you guess it? Error. Sam is a restaurant owner. He enters the space, and the waiter whispers to him, "Sir, there's a famous millionaire eating lunch at one of the tables." Sam looks around and sees these 4 persons. Can you guess who's rich? The first guy is wearing a fake Nike hoodie. This elegant woman has a fake Gucci bag. The third person is wearing torn shoes. And this lady is holding the keys from the brand new Ferrari parked behind the window. So, she's definitely not poor. Take a look at these 9 letters. Can you form a 9-letter word using these letters? Don't forget to use each letter. The word is mythology. What has lots of eyes but can't see? The correct answer is a potato. I'm the part of the bird that's not in the sky. I can swim in the ocean and yet remain dry. What am I? I'm a shadow. An electric train is traveling southwest at 95 miles per hour, and the wind is blowing northeast at 95 miles per hour. Can you guess which direction the smoke blows? There's no smoke with an electric train. What 5-letter word becomes shorter when you add 2 letters to it? The correct answer is short. The more of me here, the less you see. What am I? I'm darkness. What building has the most stories? Library, of course. Bob gets lost in the gym. He's wandering around and finds 3 doors leading outside. There are dangerous lions behind the first door. There's a giant pterodactyl breathing fire behind the second door. And behind the third door, there's a tank with hungry sharks. Nobody can cross this tank and stay alive. Which door should Bob choose to survive? To crack this riddle, Bob should remember that pterodactyls don't breathe fire. That's what dragons do. Also, pterodactyls went extinct many millions of years ago, so Bob should choose the second door. I'm tall when I'm young, and I'm short when I'm old. What am I? I'm a candle. There's a one-story house in which everything is pink. Pink walls, pink doors, pink furniture. Can you guess the color of the stairs? It's a one-story house. There are no stairs. I'm taken from a mine and shut up in a wooden case, from which I'm never released. And yet I'm used by almost everybody. What am I? I'm a pencil lead. Miss Smith is a billionaire. She has 3 people living in her house with her. Adam, her reckless son, Peter, her noisy brother, and Sebastian, the loyal housekeeper. One day, Miss Smith finds this message written on her calendar. Can you help her spot the betrayer?
Ooh.
The circled numbers mean the months. It's her son, Adam. I can be long or I can be short. I can be grown and I can be bought. I can be painted or left bare. I can be round or a square. What am I? I'm your fingernails. Danny is a famous vampire hunter. He gets an invitation to a small town. There's a vampire living in this town, but nobody can catch this dangerous creature. Danny decides to look in the local restaurant. He asks the staff to show him security camera archives to check among the restaurant visitors over the years, and soon identifies the vampire. Who's the vampire? There he is. Vampires don't age, and also don't eat food. Danny takes a walk around the town and spots another creepy detail. Can you see it too? There's a zombie hiding over there. What about this location? Can you spot any zombies here? Hello, great job. Can you count the number of triangles in the given picture? What about this picture? How many triangles can you see? You can pause this video if you need extra time. There are 104 triangles in this picture.